Hey Artnerds, today we are taking a look at the Lyra Rembrandt Aquarell Pencils. You guys might remember that these were sent to me by Fila, which is kind of the parent company of Lyra, FW, and several other art supply companies. These were sent to me by Fila a while back, so if you guys want to check out the unbox and swatch live stream for that, I'll pop a link to that down in the description below. You guys will also find links to the Lyra site, as well as where you can get these pencils if you so wish. So we're going to take a look first at the packaging. It comes in a metal tin with a cardboard wrapper. The wrapper contains most of the product information, including color names, color numbers, and Lightfast information. The tin is fairly plain with Lyra or Lyra embossed on it, but no product information. It's a hinged tin, which takes up more desk space, and you can get this for $14.51 for a 12-piece set over on Blick. And inside is a very thin plastic tray that's not really designed to be removed. The site promises that these are high quality, fine art, break resistant, 12 pieces, water soluble, 4mm core, light resistant, water soluble color pencils for artists, and PEFC certified from sustainably managed forest. They're available in sets of 12, 24, 36, and 72 colors. The site says that open stock is available, but I haven't seen that available in the US, and there is a 72 total color range. The back of the package reads, water-soluble color pencils offer 72 distinctive shades for those who require very high quality pencils. The finest pigments in the leads are completely water-soluble. They allow fascinating ways to create from opaque to transparent shades. The colors are vibrant and brilliant with very high light fastness degree. And the colors inside the 12-piece set are white, lemon, light orange, pale geranium link, dark carmine, light blue, Prussian blue, lawn green, apple green, Van Dyke brown, Venetian red, and Swarz are black. And as I just mentioned, these were sent to me by Fila. This review was not commissioned, it was not sponsored, and it was not requested in any way, shape, or form by Lyra. I'm completing this as part of my larger watercolor pencil review. So, the pencils themselves, the Lyra watercolor pencils are hexagonal pencils with a wood body and color-coded cap. The front says Lyra Rembrandt Aquarell, Germany. The back has the barcode name, the name in German, the name in English, and the color number. And you guys will be able to find a transcript for this video down in the description below in case you missed something or I just talked too dang fast for you guys. And I also want to point out that reviews like this are only made possible with the help and support of my wonderful patrons on Patreon. So if you like what I do and you want to help me to be able to continue to do it with YouTube's changes based on the FTC and COPPA rulings, I'll need your help. You guys can join me at patreon.com/natosoup and help support videos like this one. So now that we've taken a look at the pencils, it's time to do some swatching. I'm going to swatch these in my Arteza watercolor sketchbook. Please do not take this as an endorsement of the sketchbook. I'm actually not that fond of it. But I ran out of space in my Canson XL watercolor sketchbook and I got to use what I got. So you guys can see a sneak peek for some of my other watercolor pencil reviews that are on this channel. We've talked about Prismacolor. We've talked about Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua. We've talked about Albrecht Dürer. We've talked about Inktense. We've talked about Supercolor 2. We have even talked about Crayola. So for our opacity test, I laid down 2 lines of alcohol marker using a Copic in black. Nice thing about this is it's not going to resist or be resistive to the watercolor pencils, nor is it going to lift up or reactivate once we add our water. So when doing the dry swatches, I found that these are fairly opaque and a bit chalky. Now that we've got our dry swatches done, we're ready to do our water swatches, and I'm going to be using the same brush that I have used for all of these watercolor pencil reviews, a Princeton Aqua Elite. This is a synthetic brush, and it's just one of the constants from these reviews. So as I'm adding water, I notice that we're getting so color activations and some colors refuse to budge. The pigment is also just really poor. When these are dry, these look fairly rich, fairly saturated, but they just don't want to move. And when they do move, there's not a whole lot of color to them. In terms of pigment load, I was hoping these would perform like the Albrecht Dürer, the Inktense, or the Supercolor 2 watercolor pencils, where you do get a lot of movement and a lot of activation. Unfortunately, these kind of stay where they were put. Alright, so these swatches have had a chance to dry. The colors are still fairly bright, but I'm really disappointed by the lack of pigmentation in some of those colors, particularly in, let me double check the name, Pale Geranium Lake doesn't really have a lot of movement, Light Blue doesn't really have a lot of movement, Lawn Green doesn't really have a lot of movement, Van Dyke Brown doesn't really move, and Venetian Red doesn't really move. So several of these colors just kind of stay put even after you add water and kind of scrub on them back and forth. Alright, so next we are going to do our color wheel test. This requires selecting a select few of these colors and seeing how well they mix and blend in a color wheel. And we're going to use Lemon, Pale Geranium Lake, Dark Carmine, Light Blue, and Prussian Blue. And I feel like the color selection in this pack was just kind of unusual and not really what I was hoping for, because we get a mid-yellow, which is fine. Yellow is one of those colors that works well as kind of a dual use, mixed use color. We get a light red and a dark red, a cool red and a warm red, but then we get light blue, which is neither a warm blue nor a cool blue, as well as Prussian blue, which is a cool blue. So mostly these pencils aren't that dusty, but the light blue really threw up some dust. These are pretty chalky though, and they do get used up very fast. And you can see some optical blending. That's when our eyes blend the layers of the colors for us on the Prussian blue and lemon section. And a little bit of orange where lemon crosses over pale geranium lake. And the Lightfast information is not on the pencils, it's on the packaging itself, which is a belly band that's kind of designed to be possibly tossed. So I'm going to read through the Lightfast info for this 12-piece set. White is 2 stars, lemon is 3 stars, light orange is 3 stars, pale geranium lake is 2 stars, dark carmine is 3 stars, light blue is 3 stars, Prussian blue is 2 stars, lawn green is 3 stars, apple green is 3 stars, Van Dyke brown is 2 stars, red, Venetian red is 3 stars, and black is 3 stars. So now we're adding some water to our color wheel, and I noticed that these really don't want to activate like at all. You guys see how the water has pooled up on my paper? It's because I was really scrubbing in that area. With some colors, I'd almost think it was like using regular color pencils. Dark carmine and Prussian blue are particularly bad. There seems like there's just very little pigmentation with these. The color mixes are basically non-effective because of the lack of activation. The water in my cup also got really muddy. This plus the fact that these pencils get used up really quickly and the really low pigment load tell me that these pencils are probably full of optical brighteners, which make the colors look brighter when they're dry, but don't really add a whole lot to the wet experience of using these pencils. The site claims that these are highly water soluble and transparent, and I'm just like, what? So you guys can see all the pencil marks that weren't able to be activated, that didn't go anywhere. That's a quality I'm absolutely not looking for when I'm reviewing water-soluble pencils. Okay, so our color wheel did not go super well. What about layered mixing? Now, for those of you who haven't watched my other watercolor pencil reviews, layered mixing is when I apply swatches of our color wheel colors and we try to do some optical mixing where we layer swatches of the other colors on top of them. You guys will see what I'm talking about as I go along. Then we apply some water for some mechanical mixing to see if we can get the colors to mix. What we're looking to make are clean secondary colors, and some brands are better about doing this than others. And as I'm applying my layers, I'm noticing that these are really chalky. As I'm adding water, these don't even really mechanically mix since the pigments really just don't move. Mostly, these just make mud. So next we're going to swatch some of our secondary colors so we can compare them to our mixes. So orange, green, and I would do a purple, but this set surprisingly does not come with a purple. Which, as you guys can see from these swatches, we can't really mix a purple from what we've got either. And my secondary color swatches are still not really great due to that low pigment movement. So what's my verdict on these? Y'all, I don't like these. They're chalky, a bit dry, a bit dusty, with poor pigment load and poor activation. If I didn't know better, I'd say these weren't actually watercolor pencils. The pigment delivery issues are so overwhelming, I can't really comment too much on much else. The cores might be larger, but these seem like they're full of optical brighteners, and you run through the lead pretty quickly. Color activation with water is poor, and getting pigment to move is difficult. I prefer pencils that color the whole... Woo-woo, cannot read, y'all. I prefer pencils that color the whole pencil to indicate lead color, sort of like the Super Color 2 and the Albrecht Dürer, rather than a color cap. But this has never been make or break for me when buying pencils. It doesn't stop me from buying a brand. It's just easier for color selection. In general, I'm pretty disappointed with the Lyra Rembrandt Watercolor Pencils. If you're looking for professional grade watercolor pencils, I recommend the Albrecht Dürer, Inktense, and Super Color 2 over these. So even though this review was not particularly positive, I want to thank Lyra for initially sending me these pencils to try out. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I always try to give honest opinions and feedback based on my experiences as a watercolor comic artist. I sincerely hope that art supply companies can utilize my feedback and the feedback of other artists to help them manufacture products that are going to please their audiences. So hopefully this feedback is useful and helpful. I also hope this feedback is useful for those of you who are fellow artists like myself and are interested in purchasing art supplies and may not want to spend a lot of money just to find what you like. I have loads of other art supply reviews and tutorials here on this channel, including watercolor and alcohol marker videos, so hopefully you guys will stick around and check those out. If you guys like what I do and you want to help me continue to do it, there are a couple of ways that are super useful. One, you can share your favorite of my videos to your favorite social media platform, introducing other artists to my reviews and tutorials and hopefully helping them out. And two, you can join me on Patreon at patreon.com/natosoup.